order. Councilwoman Cuellar, if you'd be so kind.
Heavenly Father, we come into your presence to give thanks and praise for the many blessings that you bestow upon each and every one of us here, as well as our city. Lord, we remember those who are able to be with us, especially those who are struggling with COVID illnesses and other infirmities. Lord, we place them under your care. Watch over them, grant them. We also ask that you lead us this evening. We have many items on our agenda. We pray for your wisdom and guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, greetings. Thank you once again for joining us. Roll call, Councilman London.
Present.
Councilwoman Cuellar. Councilman Box. And Councilman Sims.
Present.
And myself present as well. At this time, I'd look for an approval of the minutes from the regular city council meeting of September 5th of 2023.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes from the meeting from September 5th, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. At this time, I look for a motion to pay the current bills.
Make a motion to pay the current bills in amount of $324,504.95.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any professionals or consultants to give the council a report this evening? Any professionals or consultants? All right. Mayor, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you, Council President, for giving me this opportunity to be able to share with all the wonderful citizens that are sitting out there today. I promise to be expedient in my report, as well as my 3 presentations that I have to give tonight. I guess I need to turn my phone off just like we ask everybody else to turn off theirs. But I'm going to start out tonight by giving congratulations to our wonderful city clerk, who has just become a certified municipal clerk. There are very few people that has the CMC designation. Now she's going for her MMC. She even had the nerves today to ask me, Mayor, have you got your MMC yet? I said, well, I'm no longer a city clerk. I turned in my shoes. But Lee, I just want to say congratulations for you receiving your new award. It just came about 2 hours in an email. And I like to give you your roses while you're here. She's the one that takes up with my abuse on a daily basis. I think I fired her at least 30 times this month. But I made up today by bringing her a slice of Eggers cake to let her know that she's still employed here at the city. So Lee, thank you for all the hard work that you do. On September the 11th, I had an opportunity to participate in the 9/11 event at Shades Valley High School. And I would like to thank Jason Miller for inviting me to be a part of that. They are back there on the back row there. So if you all would mind standing up. It was a wonderful event, and I hope that you all invite me to come back and to participate in it as well on next year. The automotive ad campaign began on September the 18th. I want to say thank you to the Irondale CDA as well as the City of Irondale for collaborating on such a wonderful event. We're getting ready to make Irondale the luxury automotive mecca in the South. We have commercials that are going to begin with the 14 brands that we have in our city on November the 1st. Yours truly had a chance to be able to shoot his spot this morning. So we're really looking forward to that beginning on November the 1st. We had a cop stop in Old Overton Trail on yesterday. I want to give a thanks to Jason Wiggins. I would say that it was the biggest cop stop that I've been able to participate in since we've been here. We had about 65 to 70 people that came out to be able to get a chance to know our police officers, and I want to be able to thank Jason for that. On Saturday, we have the music festival at Beacon Park. Beginning at gates open at 1:30. We have 7 acts, 8 food vendors, and over 6,000 people have signed up for this event, which I would say would be the largest music festival that has ever taken place in the history of the city of Irondale. T-shirts are going on sale on the 20th and the 21st at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's going to be here at City Hall. There's a limited amount of T-shirts that are available. On September the 28th, we're having the groundbreaking for the Irondale Dog Park at Ella Park. It would start at 8 a.m. If you're not doing anything, or if you'd like to bring your dog out to the groundbreaking, we will be there for that. Grants Mill Road tentatively is set to open on September the 30th. Yo Amo Irondale is scheduled for October the 7th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. We are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month here in the city. We believe in being diverse as well as being inclusive to all nationalities. If you come to this event, you can get a free haircut, mechanical bulls, bouncy house, car and truck show, and much, much more. On October the 3rd, we're having National Night Out at the Irondale Civic Center. It begins at 6 p.m. and it ends at 8 p.m. And if you want to see the brand new fire trailer that we have, Josh is going to be there. So we have a new trailer. You all have to visit the trailer. It's very interactive. It gives you an opportunity to see how you can react when there's a fire going on in your house, and what you should and what you shouldn't do. On October the 5th, we're having the Citizen Engagement Institute reunion. There are over 100 people that have gone through this institute to learn how to be able to maneuver through municipal government. And then on October the 19th, we're having another class. These classes consist of five Thursdays, and the last one is the graduation. One thing that I can promise you, you may not learn a lot about municipal government, but you will eat well during those 6 weeks. Finally, what everybody's been waiting for is the Publix grand opening, and it is scheduled for the middle of October, no later than November the 1st. I know the actual date, but to be politically correct, I'm going to give you a time span so you all don't beat me up and criticize me that I gave the wrong date. So just look out for Publix to open somewhere between October the 18th and November the 1st. And this is my final. Starting in January 2024, we are going to start enforcing the garbage ordinance. When COVID was running rampant and we knew people were at home, so we picked up almost any and everything. Well, starting in January, if you don't have a city approved trash can, we're not going to pick it up. If you don't get an extra can, we're not going to pick it up. If you put those green bags around the trash can to get it to blend in with the trash can, guess what? We're not going to pick it up. I'm giving you ample time to get an additional can if you have more garbage than you have trash cans. But please don't call down here on January the 3rd to want to know why that green bag or why that additional trash is still sitting in front of your house. Because if you don't put it in the city approved trash can, guess what? We ain't gonna pick it up. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I got 3 proclamations. Council President, and I'm gonna get us.
Sure, no problem.
Laurel Crandall Brown Foundation. Okay, since we don't have anyone here from the foundation, I'm not going to read through this entire proclamation. But what I will say is, whereas gynecological cancers are among the leading cancer killers of women in the United States, and more than 125,000 women will be diagnosed and more than 30,000 women will die from these diseases this year, and the absence they leave in our hearts will be deeply felt forever. Whereas the Laurel Crandall Brown Foundation and their State of Teal initiative brings awareness to GYN cancers to people throughout the state of Alabama, whereas good health and well-being of women in our state and city of Irondale enhanced by increased awareness of GYN cancers and their symptoms and treatments, and whereas it is also crucial that all women in our state and city of Irondale take an active role in learning the symptoms and the risks associated with GYN cancers, developing healthy habits, undergoing regular medical exams so that any occurrence of these diseases may be detected in the early and treatable stages. Whereas we reflect upon the memory of those lost to these diseases, the bravery of those battling current diagnosis, and need for increased awareness, screening, research so that women in our state may be spared from them in the future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, James Douglas Stewart Jr., Mayor of the City of Irondale, issue this proclamation recognizing September 2023 as Gynecological Cancer Awareness Month. The second proclamation we have here is the City of Irondale is a firm believer in being able to support education. Education is one of the pillars that we have here at the city. One of the things that we want to do is to make sure that we help the local high school to be able to be geared up to make sure that the students that go through Shays Valley High School are in a place that they are prepared to leave, to go to college, to go into workforce, to be able to do some other things. So the proclamation that I'm getting ready to read is called National Gear Up Week. Whereas gaining early awareness and readiness for the undergraduate programs is federally funded competitive grant program designed to increase the number of low-income students who are prepared to enter and succeed in post-secondary education. Whereas Gear Up serves low-income, minority, disadvantaged students and their families from underserved communities who may be the first person in their family to go to college. And whereas Gear Up provides 6 or 7 year grants to states or partnerships to deliver support and resources to students and their families starting no later than the 7th grade. Whereas Gear Up includes interventions such as tutoring, mentoring, rigorous academic preparation, financial education, college scholarships to improve access to higher education for low-income, minority, and disadvantaged first-generation students and their families. Whereas Gear Up is built around public-private partnerships, enlisting the formidable resources of government, business, and community groups to support low-income students as they prepare to enter and succeed in college. Whereas the City of Irondale is committed to providing a quality of education for all students, helping them to achieve their highest potential. Now, therefore, be it here resolved that I, James Douglas Stewart Jr., Mayor of the City of Irondale, issue this proclamation this week of September the 23rd as National Gear Up Week, in witness whereof I signed and sealed on the 19th day of September 2023. Smiling all day. I think I ran out. Last proclamation. I know when I was going to school, which was about 40 plus years ago, we didn't have a problem getting up in the morning and going to school. Because if you didn't go to school, you didn't do anything else. If you was on your last leg, you got up and you went to school, because if you couldn't go to school, my mom would say, well, I guess you can't go out, you can't date, you can't do anything else. So we made sure that we went to school. But now we have this epidemic that is going through our society where there's an issue with attendance in our school systems across the nation. I have a proclamation that the city of Irondale is participating with the National League of Cities to stand against absenteeism in schools and to do whatever we can with the 5 schools that we have in our city to make sure that we work with them to make sure that students are showing up to school beyond the 20 days that is they need to make sure that they get the proper funding. Because if you don't, you can't learn if you're not at school. So this proclamation is about the city of Irondale working with the 5 schools that are in our city to make sure that we can help to eradicate the attendance problems, if there's an attendance problems in those schools. And it reads, whereas the nation is experiencing a school absenteeism crisis brought on by COVID-19 pandemic and other challenges that have eroded positive conditions for learning at school, including physical and emotional health and safety, and a sense of belonging, connections and support, academic challenges and engagement, and adults and the peers with social emotional competencies which motivate students and families to show up and engage, whereas including chronic absence, which means missing 10% or more of school for any reason, requires a comprehensive trauma-informed approach that starts with prevention and early intervention, including developing routines and trusting relationships to create a sense of belonging rather responding with punitive actions, which research finds is not particularly effective. Whereas approving the attendance and the engagement takes schools, families, elected leaders, and other community partners working together to rebuild regular and trusting communications and to identify addressing barriers to being in school. Whereas taking attendance daily in a caring, consistent manner is essential to identifying when students begin to miss too much school and for engaging students and families as early as possible with needed support and resources. Now, therefore, be it here resolved that I, James Douglas Stewart Jr., the mayor of the city of Irondale, issue this proclamation recognizing September 2023 as School Attendance Awareness Month. Finally, I've made it to the end of the journey, Council President, and I truly believe that I will have a person up here to take a picture with me other than myself. But what I wanted to do tonight is that we have an individual in our audience that is truly amazing. He writes songs that are extremely big, because he's always encouraging people to be winning. Therefore, I would like to bring, better known as PMJ, to the front. I want to give him the key to the city. And if you all are asking the question, why am I giving him the key to the city? Well, in the last 3 years, he has won 17 Stellar Awards. And the way that I remember that is counting as if I was in preschool. And you messed me up on the only getting 8 this year. So that means you got to get 12 next year, because the way I counted them was 3, 6, 8, which equals 17. I'm going to allow PMJ to come to the front. He's really did some wonderful things here. And just want to honor him and let him have the mic to be able to speak.
Everything you do.
And if you all really want to hear someone perform, he will be our headliner at our second annual music festival. And he will not only close out the festival, but I plan on him shutting down the festival. All right, I'm going to turn it over to you. Okay.
Okay, first off, it's an incredible honor to be here, to our mayor, our council president, and all of you, councilmen and councilwomen, city officials, fire department, police chief, workers, everybody. It just means so much to me. Birmingham gets a lot of credit for what I do. I love my city and I love what we do, but as a little kid, I was pregnant with a vision and pregnant with a dream. I always wanted to inspire people and love people. And my father, we were pastoring a church in Kingston, and I never forget the night he woke up and said, wake up, wake up. We just got the church. I said, we got a new church? He said, yes. I said, where is it? He said, it's in Irondale. I almost cried because I thought I was going to have to go to the country and leave our city. I was like, I don't want any new friends. He said, no, it's around the corner. And I never forget, Mayor, the Sunday we had early morning service in Kingston. We all got in a caravan and we drove through the neighborhood and we ended up right across the street at Revelation Church Ministries. And that building across the street in the city of Irondale, everything, and I mean this from the depths of my heart, that the world sees me doing was nurtured right here in Irondale, Alabama. And it will always mean the world to me. I joked when I was a little kid. I'll never forget, we walked over the railroad tracks and a guy told me, he said, you know about Irondale? I said, yes. He says, fried green tomatoes. And I didn't know what that was, so I just smirked and I walked back to the church and said, you know what? One day it's going to be fried green tomatoes and Mike Jr. So I thank you so much. I mean it from the depths of my heart. My son Miles asked me, he said, Dad, you're getting the keys to the city? I said, yes. He asked me a very important question. He says, what does it open? And I said, it doesn't mean that I have a key to open a door. It just means that a city has opened its heart to me. And I thank God for each and every one of you, and to the chief of police and all the police officers in Irondale who don't play. If you pull me over, I will have this key with me as proof that I get a key out of at least one ticket, at least one. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Take a picture, yes, sir. I normally would have had on a suit to be presentable. We haven't announced it yet, but I'm performing on this year's Dove Award.
Nice.
All right, Council President, and that concludes my report and presentations for tonight.
Mayor, you get to have too much fun. All right. All right. At this time, we'd look for any department head reports. Any reports from any of our department heads? Go with the no. All right. We'll go ahead and get into our council member reports. I'll go ahead and start on the far end. Councilman London,
Wow. First,
changing up every now and
changed
then.
up on me. It changed up. First of all, I don't have much, but I'm looking forward to the concert on Saturday. But just thinking, I know he's already gone. I remember when he came here, and I was attending St. James United Methodist Church, And before he became big, he used to come up and volunteer and teach our young boys how to step.
Okay.
And so that's kind of big heart that he had, even way back then. So I really appreciate, my kids really appreciate it, and all the young men in the community really appreciate what he done. So I'll thank him on Saturday, but that's all I have. Thank you.
There you go. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. A few announcements. First of all, I wasn't aware that he was going to be here, but I'm so happy that he's here. I received a thank you email from retired Gunnery Sergeant Jason Miller, who is the MCJR OTC Marine instructor for our young leaders at Shades Valley High School. This past Friday, he sent all the council members and the mayor an email asking if we would please spread the word for sharing the MCJROTC's flyer, which was advertising the car wash that they had this past Saturday at the O'Reilly parking lot to raise funds for the Marine Corps Birthday Fund. Now, retired Gunnery Sergeant Miller stated that even though it rained earlier that morning, numerous residents from the Irondale community showed up to support our young leaders in their fundraising effort. And he said, and I quote, "Irondale showed out today." And so on behalf of retired Gunnery Sergeant, you can thank him personally now that you're here, and these young future leaders at Shades Valley High School, thank you to everyone who came out to support them. I can say I witnessed their reactions. They were truly moved, very grateful, and edified by your support. So thank you very much. And the second point I wanted to make is that the Friends of the Irondale Public Library are hosting guest speaker and best-selling author Patty Callahan Henry, at the Irondale Civic Center on Thursday, October 12th at 6 p.m. So if you're looking for a fun evening to listen to a very good author, please mark your calendars and come out to this free event that is hosted by the Friends of the Irondale Public Library. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that I've had some requests from constituents who aren't on Facebook, and they are requesting that we please live stream or post our council meeting on YouTube as we've done in previous years. Is there a way that we can begin doing that again? On YouTube? Okay, because they haven't been able to find it, and so I told them I'd follow up on it. Maybe it was that person's computer. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's all my report.
All right. Councilman Box?
Hey, thank you, Council President. Just wanted to thank everybody for coming. What a great turnout. And I'm enjoying seeing Mrs. Sutton and Miss Freeman here, putting together our new senior citizen center and getting that off the ground, which is awesome. Pastor McClure, I'm glad you're here tonight, sir. I know your son, but always a pleasure there. I'm here for the city, sir. I hear you, sir. So yeah, that brings to mind a statement of how beautiful it is when brothers, sisters, citizens, and everyone dwells together in unity. It's like the oil that ran down the beard. For there the Lord commanded the anointing. Now there's more to come on that unity that we got here, but I believe there's a lot to come where we can be a shining example to everybody. But with that said, I relinquish my report.
Fair enough. Councilman Sims?
Welcome, everybody, and I know we've got a lot on our agenda, so that's going to be all for me.
All right. Same for me. Thank you, everybody, for your comments this evening. Did you have a follow-up? I want to go ahead and yield the remainder of my time as I do not have a report
Okay,
to Councilman
I
Linden.
forgot to mention this. Mayor has approved, Officer Burt, our fireman, been working, he and I have been working together to put together a first responder CPR and first aid classes.
Nice.
So Mayor has finally approved it. It's finalized. So you'll be getting more information. It'll be offered to all the citizens in Irondale. And so all the first responders, first aid, I think library, whoever, senior citizen, I think, is already wants them to come up and do first aid. So you'll be getting more information on that as we move forward.
Fantastic.
It's going to start January. It's going to start January 24th. January 24th.
So anyone from the community can come out and get trained on CPR?
We'll let you know the cost and all that stuff.
Okay, nice. Well done. Okay. Since that is our reports for the evening, we'll go ahead and move to any reports from any non-council committees. Any reports from any non-council
boards.
committees
And boards.
and boards? Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, David Pugh on behalf of the Irondale Commercial Development Authority. Of course, following the United States Marine Corps Junior ROTC and Pastor Mike, this may be a bit of a, but I will do my best. First of all, just to keep the city council involved, start off with finances. We have $640,000 in available cash and still have $1 million line of credit. But I want to commend the council in particular for this reason. And it's why we always need to keep in mind how important it is when we're selecting members of the CDA to consider the talents they bring to the table. Marcus Hume is in the business of providing financial advice. And as we built up cash from the rental income from the building that we own, he has been creating a T-bill ladder, if you will. But we recognize we need to remain liquid. So these are 17-week instruments on which we've got 491,000 of that 640,000, on which we're now earning an average of 5.5% interest. So he's doing a great job of managing the CDA resources, which are the city's resources. We continue to work with Retail Strategies. They represented Irondale at the International Council of Shopping Centers National Convention in Las Vegas in May. They represented us at the ICSC Florida Convention last month, last final week of August, and they are representing us at the Southeast Regional ICSC event in October. We're continuing to work with Retail Strategies on efforts to lease out the 11 retail parcels at the public site, as well as the Hightower site across the street. And we've begun to try to identify specific underperforming pieces of property in Irondale, working with Graham and Company to get at least a broker's opinion of value, not as formal as a full-blown appraisal, to try to find out the real value. And if we can find one where we can either, we think we've got a reasonable chance of obtaining it and converting it, or if we can be a market maker, we think that by making an offer will spur some activity. We're going to do that. So we've been working on that. I understand tonight the council has on the agenda to take up the approval of the new sign ordinance, sign usage ordinances. That's part of an ongoing effort that McNally Land Design has been consulting with the city. There are other phases to come of additional services they're going to provide, and we funded that. The CDA has paid for that. We're very proud to be participating in a small way, but at least participating with the Strong Automotive campaign. With the Auto Mall being the largest generator of retail sales income, anything we can do to increase that is a bonus for all of us. And that's a fantastic. I commend the council for undertaking that effort. We're also a platinum sponsor for the music festival this weekend, and proud to do that for the second year in a row. And I'm particularly proud to have been invited in July to update the Holiday Gardens Neighborhood Association on CDA activity and the Irondale Chamber of Commerce on CDA activity. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the gentleman?
I do have one question. Could you find out some information on the Whole Food World? Who owns that? I've been searching and searching. I have someone who wants to move their
The
business.
Old Food World, who owns
That
it?
whole,
Yeah. Oh, the whole mall.
the whole mall,
Okay.
the whole mall.
Peak seasons.
Is it the own PC?
He owns it
I
all.
thought,
We done this?
He owns it all.
okay. Any other questions?
You said, I think it's 11 out parcels.
Yep.
Not, maybe not out, but 11 units, I guess. Do you know how many of those are currently reserved? Or,
10 are either signed leases or at lease,
okay,
meaning they're negotiating terms of lease. There's one available,
okay,
and it's one of the smallest ones, the little 1,200 square foot sliver.
excellent, thank you.
Nice. Thank you for your time,
Thanks for
sir.
the update.
Thank you. Any other reports from any boards or non-council committees? All right, with that, we will go ahead and move into the meat of our agenda. For housekeeping purposes, we're going to have two public hearings. We'll motion to enter a public hearing. We'll discuss that public hearing, then we'll motion to close it, and then we'll motion to open another public hearing for the second one. We'll discuss that, seek opinions on it, and then close that. And then that item will be voted on later on in the agenda. I bring this up just simply for a procedural, so you can have a lay of the land, but also there are forms in the back corner over by the door. If you seek to weigh in on any of these public hearings or any of the, make comments on any agenda items or comments at the end for non-agenda items, for our wonderful clerk here who has done such a great job continuously to save her from having to watch Facebook 15 times, that piece of paper is going to record your name and your address. So let's help make her life a little bit easier if we can. They're in the back corner by the door. All right. So that being said, I would ask that we make a motion to enter a public hearing.
I move that we leave regular council meeting and go into a public hearing.
Second.
All right, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, perfect. So the first public hearing, the City Council of the City of Irondale will hear comments from interested citizens concerning Ordinance 2023-27 to modify the existing zoning ordinance to add a recreational vehicle park zoning district. So I'll put it with us first. I know I mentioned this 2 weeks ago that this would be coming up. There was some discussion in P&Z about a couple of things. Legal basically designed the ordinance after looking at some other models, so I feel that it's pretty dialed in. There was some talk about where the trash receptacles were located and how the bathrooms were being labeled. They've taken care of all that for us, so I did not send out any red line redacted versions or anything like that. I didn't feel it was necessary. I've never read an RV ordinance before, so I didn't see the need to kind of go through it with a fine-tooth comb. They've done a great job as far as I'm concerned with it. Councilman London, we'll start with you. Any questions or comments on that?
Are we looking to bring something like this to Irondale?
There is an interested
That's
party.
interested in having some, okay. We'll talk about that later.
Okay, copy. Councilwoman Cuellar?
No, our city attorney answered all my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Box?
Councilman London kind of asked my question. If there's interest in it, is any proposed sites that we're looking at this point that we're at liberty to discuss?
There is legal. It came forward and was openly discussed in P&Z. So that logistically can be discussed. Okay. So there is. I don't know exactly what lot it is, but if you're at the Ruffner Ballpark, it is across the street on one of those lots, one of those commercial lots. And the idea, without putting words into the person who's interested in it, is that obviously we're doing a lot of fantastic work around our ballpark, and there could be some opportunity for travel ball situations. And if you've ever seen travel ball and stuff like that, you know those guys run pretty heavy and sometimes stay for a couple days during tournaments. So it's saw an opportunity there to kind of maybe take advantage of that situation. Okay,
Thank you.
gotcha, absolutely. Councilman Sims?
They've pretty much asked all the questions I was going to ask. Just if I can't remember the minimum lot size that was in the ordinance, was it? For the entire,
I'm sorry, per side.
right.
Are you talking about overall property
I
measurement?
think it's 3 acres.
3 acres? I thought that's what I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything 3 acres or more, they would go through P and Z and attempt to, okay. No more questions.
And it's specific use as well. So it's, if I recall, legal, it was a specific use of an existing zone, wasn't it? Or do I have that mistaken?
It would be rezoned into that particular.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. So literally just creating a new zone, essentially. So any other questions from you guys? Are you all good? All right. So now we'll put it back with the public. Anyone in favor of this RV ordinance? Anybody want to speak in favor of it? Does anybody want to speak against it? Yes, ma'am.
I don't
necessarily want to speak against it. I don't have the information. I can't be an informed citizen because I don't have the language from the ordinance. I would assume if you, and it sounds like, and this is all new to me because I'm just learning it because I couldn't get the information. I would like for the city, especially when you're putting forth a new zoning ordinance or something, to give the public the language so that we know before we come in here what you're asking us to comment on. And you know, my concern is with the environment and up and down the river. And I'm just learning, maybe this situation is over at Ruffner, which I think would probably be a good idea, and allow people to go to Ruffner. But does it open the door, or there are other speculative sites up and down the Cahaba? Does it open up that, or setback areas being considered? You've got sewage, electrical, all of that to contend with. And some of those RVs are 50 feet long. You know, if they require space, a lot of them expect to have fire pits, you know, the full 9 yards. So, you know, I don't know what I can comment on because I don't have the information.
Okay.
Could we get that information prior to coming in?
Any area to be rezoned would come in front of the P&Z board and also the city council. So there would not be anything on the agenda to rezone any site in Irondale to this without it actually going through both of those two layers.
Okay, I
Just
checked the
so you know.
websites, I checked every source that I knew of, I came to City Hall, I checked the bulletin boards, if it wasn't posted there. I found no information about PMC, about any of the other information. I only learned about this through the District 3 site posting, you know, that it was on here. So I called, I wrote, I came over to try to get the language for this, because I don't know.
I'll be more than happy to give you our copy after this evening, once it's actually approved.
And
More than happy.
let me speak to that
Sure.
because Jenny has said that like maybe 3 or 4 times, and I want to make sure that we walk away with clarity why we did not give that out, because we don't give out draft documents. It is a draft, is not the final. So we don't give those draft documents out, and those draft documents are not public documents until they're adopted by the council to be able to go into effect. So that's the reason we didn't give you the document when you were kept requesting for the document. Now, the planning and zoning meets the 4th Thursday of every month. And it went before the P&Z, and it was like probably 2 folks that showed up to the meeting. But the P&Z is posted, is put out there, is on the bulletin board, because it's a requirement as a city that we're supposed to do that. So I don't want anybody to think that we're trying to sneak anything in, because we've gone through the proper posting procedures that we're supposed to do as a city, and we fulfilled all of those obligations.
Okay, as far as coming to a public meeting and asking and giving public comment on something, we can't comment because we don't know what that is. We can't be informed if we don't have the information to do that.
Thank you for your comments on your concern. I'll be more than happy to give you a copy of it afterwards, Ms. Jenny. Thank you. Mhm. Are there any comments against this rezoning? All right. With no other comments for or against, I'd ask for a motion to close this public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All right. Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. With our next public hearing, motion to enter a second public hearing.
Motion to enter second public hearing.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. The City Council of the City of Irondale will hear comments from interested citizens concerning Ordinance 2023-28 to modify the existing zoning ordinance related to sign regulations in the City of Irondale. Mr. David Pugh spoke about that just moments ago. Councilman London, any questions with that?
No question.
All right. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Just some comments. I definitely want to thank our city attorney, as well as the CDA, the Planning and Zoning Board, and Leah, who worked diligently on this for many, many months. And it is, in my view, it's very, very thorough. And And I'm sure that we'll probably have something that comes up, but they tried to think of everything in this document. And I'm very grateful to everyone that was involved in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Box?
No questions.
Okay. Councilman Sims?
No questions.
Okay. And myself, no questions. Anybody in the audience for this particular sign ordinance? Anybody against this particular sign ordinance? All right. With no comments for or against, I would ask for a closure of this public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Getting into the meat of the agenda, we'll go ahead and we'll start with the beginning of what is proposed to be the consent agenda. Resolve that Resolution 2023 R126 authorizes the payment of public funds to Shades Valley High School in the amount of $2,500 from the 22-23 fiscal year discretionary fund of Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. to be used exclusively for the baseball team at Shades Valley High School. I know there are a few of these on here. Mayor, please feel free to speak on this if you would like to, or any others for that matter.
Okay, you want me to speak to the, okay. No, I thought he said you wanted me to speak to all of them. Or
If you would like to.
One time?
Or I can take them one at a time, whatever your preference is.
Okay, well, just the monies that are going to Shades Valley were entities that I wanted to be able to fund that are typically not in the funding stream for the schools, to be able to help to fill the gap, to provide for those activities, which are educational activities, the same way that they pick up a book and read it and create an outline for it. So that's the method behind the madness for providing the donations to the color guards, to the MC, JROTC, and I think and the baseball team.
Copy. Councilman London, any comments or questions on any of these?
No question.
Okay. Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
All right. Councilman Box?
No questions, but I would like to increase from my discretionary funds if that's acceptable now, or would that become later when we move?
Specifically item number 1?
Yes, well, I want to add to item 1 and to item 9. And finally to, let's see, where is it?
17, I think.
Yes, 17. And I can give you the amounts if you're prepared for that.
All right. Let's take it from the top. Item number 1,
500 to item 1,
500. All right.
500 to item,
Copy that. All right.
and 1,000 to item 17.
1,000 to 17.
Correct.
Council President Spidey, if you're taking additions, I too would like to add $1,000 to item number 17.
Fair enough.
Also, I wanted 500 to item 9 and another 5 to 17.
So on 17, we've got Box at 1,000, Councilman Cuellar at 1,000, and Councilman London at 500. Okay. All right, fair enough. And I don't have any comments on that one. Councilman Sims, I want to make sure I didn't skip you.
Well, I wanted to ask a question about 17, but I didn't know if you wanted to get all the way there or go ahead and knock it out now.
Go ahead and ask it.
I just wanted to ask, what are you going to use the funds for? What are your plans for the funds? What are your plans for the funds?
Funds, this will be for the ROTC birthday ball. Rainbow is very rich in history and traditions. We've been doing that since November 10th, 1775. And the 13th come out of the Marine Corps, established a birthday message. And ever since then, we carried on. No matter the climb, no matter the place, we celebrate our birthday. So Shades Valley's had the JROTC for the past 6 years. This is sixth year of the coming, and we've slowly progressed every single year, making the birthday better and better and better. So the past 2 years, we've had the cafeteria. This year, with all the cadets have been doing, we would like to expand that and get a venue with catered meals and let the cadets enjoy being a cadet and representing Shades Valley and the community.
If you had excess funds, do you have other things that you'd be able to do with the cadets the rest of the year?
Absolutely. We have different programs where there's marksmanship. We have a marksmanship program that we teach the cadets how to shoot. They can compete, and that's nationwide. We also have a PT team, a physical training team that competes, and we have a drill team that competes. So any of those funds would go towards the transportation and in some cases lodging for those cadets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fair enough.
I'd like to add 2,500 to number 17. And let me know when the ball is.
7,500%.
You good on totals? Okay, cool. All right, thank you all very much. Item number 2, resolve the resolution. I'm going to change a word in here, so that'll need to be noted when this goes up for approval. So resolve that resolution 2023 R127 reappoints Denise Wright as trustee for the library board for a term ending on September 30th of 2027. The substitution was redlining a director for trustee. We were informed that's the proper terminology for that board. Councilman London, do you have any questions?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Just a comment, thank you to Dale for providing us with the memo which talks about Miss Wright. This really helps, and thank you very much for that. Okay, is that, it's
Miss
nice to
Denise.
meet you, Miss Wright.
Councilman
Thank you.
Box, do you have any questions?
No question.
Okay. Councilman Sims?
No questions. Just thank you for, I think you've been on the board for a while. So thank you for your service and continued service.
Yeah. And I don't have any questions. I would ask, is there anything that you would like to say to us or to the crowd for that matter, Miss Wright? You're good? I'm giving you your moment here. Never known you to be very quiet, so.
David, I was getting ready to say that's the first time that I've ever heard Denise Wright to be speechless.
Yeah. Well, Miss Dell,
Okay.
Miss Dell, we appreciate the recommendation to Councilwoman Cuellar's point, and Miss Wright, we appreciate your service, and Mr. Wright, we appreciate you lending this to us for that time. So, yes, ma'am. Item number 3. Okay, so I'm going to assume that item number 1 is going to stay on consent. Okay.
Could we put 17 on consent also?
Yes, I was going to get to that when we get to the deliberation part. I know we've kind of addressed it, but I was going to get to that. I've already messed up my order enough as it is. I'm trying to keep it sort of under control. And I would say we would keep item number 2 on consent.
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Item number 3, resolve that resolution 2023 R128 increases the city's portion for the local government health insurance premium currently paid on behalf of each city employee in the amount of 3%. Mayor, I know that we've talked about this. Is there anything you would like to say on it, considering it addresses your employees?
Yes, I'll just go ahead so they can hear it exactly from me. They don't have to figure out what we're supposed to be doing here. But we currently are 87-13 split with our employees when it comes to paying their health insurance, and I'm recommending that we go to a 90-10 split. It's about $25 increase monthly for over 100 employees. That works out to about $2,500 a month, $30,000 annually. I feel that they are definitely worth it and deserve it. The insurance also went up a tad, but this will help them to the point that the increase in health insurance will not cut into the increase that we gave them for their salaries.
Okay. Councilman Lennon, any questions or comments?
No question.
Okay. Councilwoman Cuellar?
I just wanted to add one thing, and that is that I asked the mayor about this one, and the increase will kick in January of 2024.
Thank you. Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
All right. Myself, no questions. We agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
All right. Item number 4, resolve that resolution 2023 R129 authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. or his designee to enter an agreement with Sarcor LLC for construction, engineering, and inspection services for the TAP sidewalk project in an amount not to exceed $99,028.82. Understand this to be a professional service, and it's ALDOT approved vendor. Councilman London, any questions there?
No, except for I guess Frankie, you will be kind of supervising the work. Okay. Thank you.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes, this is the TAP sidewalk project for the benefit of our audience. And the only comment I have is, my hope is that when the city has a need for CEI services, that we will seek the services of our city engineer, as long as there's not a conflict of interest, that we seek their services before going elsewhere. And this is why we have them on a retainer. And it's always in the best interest of the city to always remember them before we go out and get outside services.
I
That's all I
understand there
have to
was
say.
a conversation between the mayor and Sane. Mayor, I don't
Can
know
I,
if you want to comment.
yeah.
Please.
Can't nobody speak to that the way I can speak to that. But Sane was responsible for creating the construction documents. My mindset is, do you let the fox watch the hen house? Do you let the people create the construction documents and then you allow them to monitor themselves at the same time? I don't feel, as being the mayor of the wonderful city of Irondale, that that's responsible stewardship to let the creator also be the one determine what they created is being put in place. SACOR is approved by ALDOT. ALDOT encourages you by sending out a list to say, to look at these contractors that we have that are already ALDOT approved. Also, I would like to add, the cost that we're receiving for not doing it in-house is $7,000 cheaper than the proposal that I received from the engineers inside the house. So I feel to save the city money is only being very astute. Should we pay more money just because they're the city engineers? I don't think so.
Fair enough. Does that address your?
Yeah, and the only comment I have is it is overseen by ALDOT, so nothing can be done without their approval.
Fair enough.
That's one of the stringent requirements they have here.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Box?
All my questions are answered. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And I'm good. Do we agree to
Council-
keep the? Yes,
Council
sir.
President, can I also just introduce Miss Selena? She's sitting right there on the front row, so I
Oh,
don't,
hey.
just wanted you all to see who's going to actually be monitoring the project on the behalf of the city of Irondale.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate your watchful eye. Thank you. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
All right. All right. Item number 5, resolve the resolution 2023 R130 changes the date of the city council meeting from Tuesday, October the 3rd, 2023 to Wednesday, October the 4th, 2023 for the purposes of National Night Out. Housekeeping item. We've seen this plenty of times. Councilman London, any questions?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions either. We agree to keep that on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 6, resolve that resolution 2023 R131 authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. or his designee to execute a community grant program agreement with the Jefferson County Commission to accept a grant in the amount of $1,000 for the Irondale Senior Activity Center. Mayor, anything in particular you want to say on this?
No, I would just like to thank Commissioner Knight. Again, he's a helping hand and always providing funding to the city of Irondale. And I know Miss Marsha Kelly Sutton is waiting to get this $1,000 from the county.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Lennon, any questions?
question.
All right. Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, only comment is we always appreciate his presence and his time he spends with us, and we
Yes.
appreciate him immensely. We agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Item number 7, resolve the resolution 2023 R132 amends the city's fiscal year 2022-23 budget as set forth in Exhibit A of the resolution. Councilman Lennon, any questions on
No
this?
question.
All right, Councilwoman Cuellar?
I'd like to first ask the mayor why we're having to amend our city's fiscal year. If he can please help us to understand the need to revise it.
Yes, the reason that we are amending the city budget is because every year we have to deal with what is called variances. I'm quite sure that you all are familiar with that. I've heard that over the last 3 years, making sure that you put things inside of the variances. Therefore, we're at the end of the fiscal year. We've decided to bring everything within a plus, a minus of 10% to make sure that when we are getting ready to go through the audit process, we've already taken care of making sure that they fit within the variances, and we do not have to go through over 600 or 700 line items to give an explanation for each one of those items. That's the reason that we decided to adjust the budget for 2023 to be able to deal with that. Now, I can also tell you this. You all don't have to vote for it. And if you don't vote for it, it's fine. The budget will stand to be. It is what it is. But this is a way of preventing us from having to do that once we begin the audit process.
May I respond? Thank you for your explanation, Mayor Stewart. Well, it is true that variances are very important. It's something that I've been talking about since I was sworn into the council. And just for the benefit of the audience that is here, fiscal year budget revisions are primarily made at mid-year. It's the norm, but there are exceptions when you need to make revisions as you're ending your fiscal year, such as unforeseen natural disasters, which result in excessive expenditures prior to the end of the fiscal year, or the sudden closure of a large tax-generating business, etc. The key words to keep in mind are unforeseen and unexpected. Now, to help to explain this, for those of you that have lived in Irondale since 2017, you may recall that the city experienced one of these unforeseen and unexpected results. Shortly after the city council approved the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget on October 5th, 2017. In a nutshell, in January of 2018, the city council learned that they were closing the location in Irondale. This is a Sam's location.
Councilwoman Cuellar,
And this meant,
I would say
I'm-
point of order.
it is part of the
Looking
point
for
of
the-
order. It is part of the explanation for where I'm going to. I have allotted, if you're following the Robert's Rules of Order,
I understand.
I have time to explain this, and that's what I'm trying to do, sir.
I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
there was a
All
point
right.
there.
So they were closing their location, and this meant an additional $1 million loss in revenue. Now, steps were taken to lower the projected deficit amount, which at that time, when the council approved it on October 5th of 2017, the city was projected to lose approximately $700,000. So then when you add another $1 million to it, it turned out to be $1.7 million. So the city council, the mayor, they all worked diligently with the department heads to lower that $1.7 million to $1.1 million loss. Then on October 3rd of 2018, the city council passed a resolution to extend the fiscal year 2018 general fund, water, and court budgets to fiscal year 2019. And again, this was a result of the unforeseen circumstances that they were faced with. So on October 3rd, they extended it, but then on November 30th of that same year, they approved the fiscal year 2019 budgets. And the fiscal year 2019 general budget was projected to have a $2 million deficit. So budget revisions were once again made at mid-year. And the city was now projected to have a little less than a $600 surplus after those revisions were made at mid-year. On September 14th of 2019, the city council approved its fiscal year 2020 budget, which was projected to have a $5,500 surplus. Now, I'm presenting this historical information to demonstrate when organizations make revisions to their fiscal year budgets. Most are made at mid-year, and unless there are unforeseen circumstances, it is not typical to make massive budget revisions during the month that an organization's fiscal year is to end. Nor is it typical to extend the fiscal year into the next fiscal year in March, unless there are dire reasons, such as the examples I've just given. Now, I've been told that the reason for the large number of revisions, the mayor has just stated, is because of the large number of variances that are either over or under the 10% norm, which has resulted in budget shortfalls for 5 departments. These 5 departments are administration, fire, building inspections, which is a little under 10,000 right now, and the senior activity center. Okay, now the senior activity center, excuse me, the activity center. But we also have the civic center that was added earlier this year. So that's understandable why they would be starting out at a negative. But it's also understandable to have a shortfall here, in this case of the civic center, when there is no historical data to use as reference. And in case of these other 4 that I've just noted, there is historical data. And because we are at the last end of our fiscal year, there's no need to make these revisions. It is best to leave things as they are and use the historical data, which we have, so that we can work on our next fiscal year budget in 2022 or 2023-24. That is when you use those variances, when you're preparing your next fiscal year budget. And what is important about it is that when the city undergoes its audit of fiscal year 2023, the large number of increases or decreases in revenues and expenditures can be explained in a section that's called Governmental Funds Budgeting Highlights of the city's audit report. This is a common practice that is used by several organizations, whether it's municipal or corporations or sole proprietorships. They use this when there are revenues that exceed or are under that 10% norm, or when there are expenditures that exceed or are under that 10% budgeted amount. So there really isn't a need for making your revisions now. Leave them as they are, so that we have that historical data and we can make those adjustments in those variances at our next fiscal year budget. Thank you. Those are my comments.
Councilman Box?
Thank you, Council President. I don't pretend to understand about 80% of what Councilwoman Quaylar said. I don't pretend to understand how the mayor is presenting it. I trust Councilwoman Quaylar's talent in her area of expertise. I know in running my business, I have a budget, and that budget's good for about 2 months. I think the person that has the city finance more well under control is definitely not myself or the others seated here with me. I would, as I said, I respect Councilwoman Quaylar's talent at looking at figures and numbers, but I think the mayor has the closer view of what we need to do. I do know hearing the call for adjustments of variances, and I think the mayor's doing that now. Now, if we're saying we don't need to adjust the variances, that I have no clue why we would do that. But I trust that the mayor has the city's best interest at heart and at mind, and I trust that Councilwoman Quaylar is the same way. But I think the mayor may have his finger and his thumb a little bit more on the heartbeat of what's going on. That's my comments.
Councilman Sims?
I just want to ask the mayor, with the, I guess the variances and then the projections, are we projected to be, I guess, surplus for that budget?
Yes, I mean, we're still going to have a surplus. I mean, to be honest with you, the only reason we considering variance is because we've been asked to do this for 3 years, and then all of a sudden now it becomes a crime to be able to do it. So I mean, you know, and I don't think that I'm saying anything or stretching the truth or saying. I mean, you all have been here. You've heard the narratives. You've sat in on the meetings and the work sessions and all of that. I'm only trying to comply with what we've been asked to do. Matter of fact, at the last town hall meeting, it was a request that was made that said something similar to what we're trying to do now. So I'm just trying to sit over here and figure it out. Like I said, I'm here to do whatever you all want me to do, but I will clear this up. The information is never lost. I could create 10 budgets and go back in the system and identify each one of those budgets to actual, because that's the way that the program works. So you don't lose information when you create a separate budget. If you understand Encode and know what we do inside the house, instead of standing outside the house and trying to throw information in the house, we wouldn't be having these discussions.
Thank you. So I understand this as being a recommendation from our auditors as well. So, you know, we paid them to do a job. This was a recommendation that we made. And as just for the good of the group, the money that we're talking about, it's already in the budget. We're just moving it around to make sure that no particular line item, each department has a lot, some more than other, depending on the size of the department. They might have 100 line items, all the way down from tires and tubes to gasoline that department is allowed to use. Sometimes those numbers get out of whack, and we just moving the money around to make sure that it's not over or above, under or above a 10% variance, basically. So. That's basically kind of what we're chatting about. We're not talking about additional funds. We're just talking about funds that are already in the budget and just moving them around so that they're closer to what our expectations were. And obviously, as you move through a year, your expectations can change, just like it might in your own private household. All of a sudden, you're used to getting a $200 Alabama power bill. The next month, boom, it's the middle of summer and it's $400. You have to move your finances around to address for that. And that's basically what we are doing with this action. We're not talking about additional money or anything like that. That would be my final comment on that.
Council President.
Yes, sir.
One additional, if I might, for just a minute. This definitely, I think there's a resolution that's being drafted to, hopefully, I know it'll help me understand budgeting process better. That hopefully when that comes out, it'll set some, not hard and fast rules, because as the mayor's noted before, we're not really even required to have a budget as far as required. And I trust James's, or mayor's judgment all there, but there is a nice resolution that will give us some target dates to maybe help us understand a little bit better. You guys that are seniors, I'm sure know it, and Councilwoman McQuaylar being the accounting person that she is, but I think that might help us a little bit too. when we
Fair
move
enough.
that forward. Thank you.
If I can make a comment also, because you've allowed him to respond to that. What I've been saying with variances is that they need to be made when you are preparing your proposed budget and the council is reviewing the budget, and we see these variances, they need to be made then, before you begin your fiscal year, before the council approves that budget. And because I made these suggestions at the last time that we dealt with this particular fiscal year, I then came back and said, okay, let's leave the budget as it is, but let's agree to meet mid-year, and let's take a look at where we stand with the variances. The council agreed, the mayor agreed, but we never met mid-year. I did speak with our auditors about this very issue, and I asked, is it necessary for us to be making these adjustments, these revisions, right before the end of our fiscal year? And the response was no, it is not necessary. I wanted to confirm that I was not in error, and I was not, because I've dealt with 11 budgets in my previous banking career, and they were $50 million, so they were large. But it's not typical to be making revisions right before your fiscal year ends. That's all I'm saying. You can leave it the way it is, work on your variances when you prepare your next budget.
Thank
And you
you.
can put that note in your audit report. Thank you.
I'm going to go on the sentiment that you do not desire to keep this on the consent agenda. Would I be making a, so
No.
do not keep it on the consent is what you're saying?
No, and if it is approved, I do want y'all to know that I will let my constituents know they have the right to see it once it's approved, to see these adjustments for themselves, to give them a better understanding of
Councilwoman
what I am
Cuellar,
saying.
you've had your first 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Typically, there's a 3-minute allowance following that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Sims?
This might be a dumb question. Is there anything preventing us from taking these numbers and approving the 2023, 2024, is that the right year? This as the budget, at the next meeting or even this one?
I think you're delving into item number 8.
I suppose so. I might be jumping the gun there.
Okay,
But-
let's circle back on that one if we could. All right, so we're going to remove item number 7 from the consent agenda as it's not unanimous at this time. So we'll move that to regular. And then Mayor, I know I said we might do joint comments on this, but I guess I'm kind of happy that we kept them separate for this moment. Item number 8 would be basically resolve that resolution 2023 R133 extends the city's fiscal year 22-23 budget until March 31st of 24. Do you have anything you would like to say upon that, Mayor?
Yes, I would. I want to. I guess the first thing that I would love to say, and to be able to clear up everything for everybody, as the mayor, I realize that I represent everybody. I represent District 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You all's constituents are my constituents, because I don't have a group of section of people that I represent, and I could care less who sees what has been done, because everything that we do are public documents. So everybody has a right to be able to see that, number one. Number two, the reason that I asked that our budget be extended, because I wanted to present to the council a new method of being able to develop a budget. When we develop a budget, we are taking shots at estimates or historical data to try to figure out what we think it is going to be. This time, because you all have allowed me to go to the Government Financial Officers Conference, and I did want to show everybody that I did at least learn one thing while I was there, that we would not create a static budget, but we would create a budget that is fluid and flexible to be able to move along with the economic environment that we're currently in. So I was asking that we extend the budget, and we extend it to March of 24. You may say, well, Mayor, why you want to go to March 24? Because I've been around here long enough to actually to know the history. I don't have to get the history from other people to tell me what has transpired in the city, because I've been here since 2012. So I've been in the middle of the game, not on the outside of the game. I've been in the game. And because I've been in the game, I know how the finances flow in the city. We pay our debt payments in October. Our revenue started to come in from property tax, business licenses between January and December. All of our sales tax revenue, thank God for the car dealerships and all the sales that they have. A lot of that sales information comes in between December and January. So why create a budget that is full of estimates when you can wait for 6 months, extend the budget that you have in place, because there's no way we're going to spend $28 million in 6 months. Then look at the actual data, determining based on the assumptions that you have in place to develop the budget for the entire fiscal year, then to begin to project from a historical place instead of a place of estimations. That's why I'm asking to give us this additional time so that we can try this new process to see if it works. And if it don't work, we'll go back to doing it the old traditional way.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir. Councilman London, any questions or comments?
Go run laps, coach.
Ready to run some laps.
Go run.
Go
I'm
run some
ready.
laps. All right, Councilwoman Cuellar.
Again, I find it strange because at the town hall that Mayor Stewart presented, he did present figures for 2024. All right. So we have these figures, and any organization, whether you work for a bank the way I used to work, we don't know how many customers are going to open up CDs. We don't know how many are going to want commercial loans. We don't know any of these things, but we do have historical data that we can work from. So I'm not in favor of extending this budget when we already have data that we can work with. And just as the previous administrations, even under those dire circumstances, were able to extend the budget, but then approve it in October, I don't see any reason why we can't do the same. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Councilman Box.
New ideas and good inventions are always good, Mayor. I don't see a problem with trying something new. I definitely agree with Councilwoman Cuellar that, we need to have certain things in place, and maybe a new drafted resolution that the mayor and Councilwoman Cuellar can sit down and discuss of, hey, moving our budget process to reflect being at mid-year. To me, I know in my business, I can project what I'm going to spend, but if I have to spend $5,000 more on safety equipment, I hopefully have had $5,000 more of income at least coming in. So I see a valid point in what the mayor's trying to do here with this, and I have no problem with moving it forward. But I would like to see us put a little more resolution in place to help me understand, and maybe it's just me, but help me understand once we lock that budget in, if we're going to actually move the budget and do it from this point forward from a place of actual numbers, which as a business owner, actual numbers is what I want. Projections are great, but actual numbers is what I want. That's my comments.
Okay. Councilman Sims.
No questions.
Okay. I'll close out the comments with saying that, hey, Mayor, let's take a look at it. Let's give it a go. I think in this economy that we're in, and the economy that we will probably be in 24, people toss out the R word. People talk about, gross domestic product and how much people are going to be spending on things. That's fluctuating. All the different facets of our economy eventually trickle down to factors of our budget. So being able to tilt and pivot, I think, in this time it's a good idea, and I look forward to working through the process. And then furthermore, talking about finance meetings, I don't believe I'm always open to scheduling any meeting that I'm chair. All I ask is just for a formal request. So we receive the numbers, the real numbers of what was spent, and then how that number reflects our estimations, whether it's income or expenses. We receive that report. Our clerk will create that report for us at any time we ask it. If we do need to have a finance meeting, I just say, ask for one, and I'll be more than happy to chair it. Thank you for the information. I think you even supplied us one of these reports a couple council meetings ago about what has been spent and what has been earned, and where that was. So I thank you for the information and the openness, and I'm looking forward to working through this process. Thank you. That being said, with Councilwoman Cuellar's comments, I'm assuming we take this off of consent?
Yes.
Okay. I saw your
Additional
hand go up.
aside,
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, and the mayor kind of reassured me, if a citizen wants to look at the finances, I don't know where to go, but I'm sure the mayor could tell you where to go if you want to look at the city's finance. And it's wide open. It's public knowledge. Is that not accurate, sir?
You're absolutely right.
So
Correct.
Where would we go?
I mean, we don't post all the information out there on the website just for anybody to be able to,
Yeah,
to
no,
get it.
that's
But
why. Yes.
if a citizen want to be able to get it, the only thing they got to do is send an email to the city clerk and ask the city clerk, can they see a copy of the city finances? And we'll be more than happy to give them a copy of it. It's like I stated, this is the whole deal.
And officially, that's called a public request for information. So, and this is
I'll put it to you all like this. If you want to just to see numbers, we can send you numbers. Because if you don't have the context of the numbers, I can send you the numbers right now. And the only thing you will know, one is higher than the other. But if you want to schedule an appointment with me and come down to City Hall and we sit at the conference table and go through it, I'll be happy to do that with any citizen that want to sit and go through those financial figures.
and I'm sure the institute that you're starting up again for what's this, third or fourth year now?
Thank you, Council
Yeah.
President.
Trying to give you a plug,
I
man.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
On October the 19th, if you're sitting out there and you're just up in arms about the city not, well, let me say this. We do have a budget. We're not required to have one, but we do have one. You may not like what the numbers are, but we still got one. So I don't want anybody to walk away and say, well, they don't have a budget. We do. Not required to have it, but we do. But if you really want to know how the city works, come to the Institute, October the 19th. We cover every aspect of the city. You got every department head at your disposal to ask them whatever you want to ask them. So you don't have to get secondhand information. They will be more than happy to provide you with that information. We got 20 spots that are available. I assume after this council meeting, it'll be full because we got so many disgruntled folks out there about the direction of the city. The classes should be overflowing with folks. So thank you, Council President. It's like you lobbed the ball up and I just got a chance to dunk it through the net.
Come get learned up. All right.
President Spivey?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
I would like to make one last comment. While it is true that we do not have a state mandate for a budget, it is also true that there is a state mandate that the city council is tasked with the responsibility of overseeing the city's finances. That is our responsibility. With that in mind, because we have that mandate, we have the right to request a budget from our mayor. And the reason that we do that is because we have outstanding long-term debt. It's called bond debt, warrants that are out there. And if we don't have a budget, it will impact our bond rating. We don't want that to happen. We want there to be full transparency of the city's financial state. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President, can I mean, we're going to move
No.
on, but I can't let erroneous information kind of just
not
float out
erroneous.
into the atmosphere.
In response to, we've been
Yes.
going through multiple sessions here. We've been allowing
Yes.
primary
No,
and
that
secondary
was all
comments.
I had to
This
say.
this is it for me. The
always has to have
S&P does not require for the city to submit a budget. What the S&P does require is for the city to provide them with an audit within 180 days after their fiscal year. That's the correct information what the S&P requires. I've never had the S&P to say, Mayor Stewart, send me your budget. But I have had them to send something to say, send me your audit. So it is the audit that is required. It's not the budget.
Thank you very
This is
much.
the audit which has.
we're
We are
Okay.
not
Out of
allowing
order.
tertiary
Out of
comments
order.
at this time.
Okay,
Thank
our
you.
budget
Out
is
of
in
order.
this audit.
She's out of order.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're not allowing tertiary comments on this.
Thank you.
Item number 9, resolve that resolution 2023 R134 authorizes the payment of public funds to Shades Valley High School in the amount of $2,500 from the 22-23 fiscal discretionary fund of Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. to be used exclusively for the color guard team at Shades Valley High. I know we've already touched on this, Mayor. Councilman London?
Yeah, there was some additionals also.
Correct. I've got Councilman Box with an additional 500 and Councilman John London with an additional 500. Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions about this line item?
No questions.
All right. Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. We agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Outstanding. Item number 10, resolve that resolution 2023 R135 authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. or his designee to execute a community grant program agreement with the Jefferson County Commission to accept a grant in the amount of $15,000 for the Irondale Senior Activity Center. Mayor, you've already kind of spoke on this a little bit. Is there anything additional that you would like to say?
No.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Linden?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman
No
Box?
questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Item number 11, resolve that resolution 2023 R136 authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. or his designee to execute a service agreement with Central Alabama Junior Roller Derby DBA Steel City Slayers for the use of Irondale Civic Center for a community youth roller derby league for the provision of recreational sporting services to the youth of the city. Councilman Sims, this has your name on it. Is there anything you would like to say?
We've been working on this for a bit, it feels like, but we've got some I guess they're participants and parents and people involved in the organization here. So if they can come forward and answer any questions or tell us a little bit, that'd be great.
They have like a little, what they would hand out at about, and it can show how we could
Thank you, ma'am.
maybe help the
Thank
city
you.
and include the city and
Thank
do
you.
the service,
Thank you.
some advertising.
Yes, please. If you can just come forward and
We are the only numbers on it. We are a 501c3 nonprofit youth program for roller derby, and a lot of them, some of them have been playing since 2018. And we play in what is Flora Temple, and would love, really appreciate the consideration to play in the Civic Center. We practice just 20 minutes on the road at State 280, and we've been playing there. But we would, again, really appreciate the opportunity to play at Civic Center again. We've got a couple of families from Irondale, and we are just a very diverse, inclusive organization for kids the age of 10 to 18. Yeah, anything can start. We would love to have more kids from the Irondale area. You don't have to know how to skate. We teach you everything. We even have loaner gear, and since we're at a rink, there's skates that they can borrow. And one of our main goals is to keep the price down. We try, it's literally, I'm a teacher, I'm a PE teacher, and a coach. It's literally the cheapest sport that you can put your kids into. And yeah. Well, want to just skate, you can just skate. And a lot of them end up wanting to play the game, and we play teams from throughout the southeast, so families would be traveling here and getting hotels. That's what's often has a team and a school. Want to leave anything else?
And,
Do you want to
and
say
if
anything?
you guys approve this, the council members and the mayor will get their own roller derby name. Because you can either pick out yourself or have a contest for.
So, and I've been playing since 20, and I've been the previously with more science. And I'd like to say that it is a really big deal to play in such a significant and extravagant building. Since we've been playing in a roller skating rink on Sunday mornings super early, it's very hard for us to get people to come out and watch us and support our league. So I feel like a bigger venue would really help us financially and just to up our spirits on how hard we've been working at practice and how people watching us play and seeing that work pay off. Spiritual.
Fair enough.
how many people, I guess per team on the track at once, how many?
15 are rosters, but we have about at least 35 kids that play. And so that's another thing is we would like for all of our kids to be able to play at one time. Where we're playing now, we're limited in time. And so only one team at a time gets to play. So it'd be nice for our A team and our B team to be able to play.
Thank you.
But there's five skaters on on each team on the track.
At any given moment. Okay, thank you.
There are rules in your little pamphlet.
I didn't get all the way through it, so.
Councilman London, any questions for?
Yeah,
Ms.
yeah,
Johnson?
what is, one that spoke, where's she at? Where is she? What's your name? No, what's your name? Well, yeah, I wanna know what's your name. You got some Nebula Space, Goldie Block, Killjoy, Lucky Harm, So Carry, Scary, Pink. So what's your,
What's your skate name?
Ruby Red Slapper?
So
No.
Scary is with us this evening.
So Scary and Hermione Danger are from Irondale. Killjoy, her dad owns a business right across the railroad tracks. So there's
Huh.
the junior team was started by an Irondale citizen.
Got a couple of Shades Valley graduates, and one's still a coach.
Is that Coach Savage?
No, Coach Savage actually just got back from military training, but
Ooh.
yeah, but yeah, we have like 8 coaches, and one is a junior skater that just aged out, and they are now a coach, a very, very good coach. And
Wow.
like I said, graduated from Shades Valley.
So Sherlock Bones is not here?
No.
I wanna meet her. I wanna meet her.
Goldie Blocks.
Goldie Block. Oh, she's on here.
And I've seen Goldie Blocks make a 18-year-old with a beard, a man, cry.
Yeah, we are public.
So
Oh,
they
cool.
they play,
Ah,
you know.
okay.
That's cool.
Didn't know that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
It's cool.
Just a comment, I want to thank Councilman Sims and our city attorney for helping to make this possible. Thank you.
Councilman Box?
Got no questions.
Closing comment, Councilman Sims, is that going in order?
No,
Okay.
thank you all for coming out and, can't wait to see y'all on the calendar.
Question for me. I think you said minimum age starting age is 10? Okay, gotcha. Right on. I've known many young ladies associated with Tragic City and everything. We've been going to their matches for many years. So, looking forward to seeing what you guys do. Do we agree to keep this item on consent?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Item number 12, resolve that resolution 2023 R137 declares the week of October 16th through October 20th, 2023 as Teacher Appreciation Week in the city of Irondale and authorizes the donation of $28,000 to Shades Valley High School, Irondale Middle School, Grantswood Community School, Irondale Community School, and JCIB from the fiscal year 22-23 educational budget for the purpose of making individual and equal grants to the teachers within each school out of the amount given for use solely within such teacher's classroom. Mayor, I know that we kind of talked on some of these educational. I didn't know if there was anything in particular you wanted to say about this one.
Well, the only thing we did different this year is that we increased the amount from $100 per teacher to $150 per teacher.
Nice. Councilman London,
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar,
No questions.
Councilman Box,
No questions.
Councilman Sims.
No questions.
I'm good. Do we agree to keep this on consent?
Yes.
All right. Getting into the regular agenda, item number 13, resolve that resolution 2023 R138 authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. or his designee to execute an assignment of an agreement for the purchase of real estate at 2074 Ratliff Road, Birmingham, Alabama 35210. It's,
Ruffner.
where did I say?
Ratliff.
Oh, my bad. I don't know why I've got that on my brain.
More.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. 2074 Ratliff. God bless. I'm dying over here, man. All right.
We're gonna find the wrong
Last
company.
chance to get it right. 2074 Ruffner Road, Birmingham, Alabama 35210 in an amount of $300,000 plus closing costs for the use by Public Works. I know we've spoken about this in different at different times. Councilman Lennon, any questions about this?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
Myself, no questions. I don't believe Frank has anything to say on this. You're good? All right, fair enough. So we will move that through regular business as the time comes. Item number 14, resolve the resolutions 2023 R139 authorizes Mayor James D. Stewart Jr. to execute an assignment of an agreement for the purchase of real estate at 1849 Crestwood Boulevard, Irondale, Alabama 35210, in the amount of $415,000 plus closing costs for the use by public safety. Councilman, kind of similar statement from 13. Any questions,
No
Councilman
question.
Linden?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No, but Chief Wiggins is here, and if he can please comment for the benefit of our audience here, if he can please explain this property. Thank you.
Chief Wiggins?
This building will allow us the opportunity to house or carry out some more of our duties, our responsibilities of processing evidence. We want to make an evidence lab. We currently, large items are taken to some of our record companies and processed there. Unfortunately, the victim will accrue costs when they're held at those locations. This will allow us not to allow the victim to be victimized again by having costs associated with us processing their evidence. So we would like to have this to process, to use it as an evidence lab to process large pieces of evidence, such as cars.
Thank you. Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No question. I'm just curious if this one and the last one need to go through the additional ordinance process or not.
I do not believe they need to go to the three-step method legal.
If they're funded, they might be.
Okay. Perfect. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Councilman Sims. And myself, no questions. Thank you, Chief. All right. Item number 15, resolve that resolution 2023 R140 authorizes an investment in the city of Irondale's trust account at Regions Bank. Councilman London, any questions there?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
I'm good.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
My only question would be for legal, since my employer is Regions Bank, there's no gain for me on this. Am I allowed to vote on this item? Thank you. Item number 16, resolve the resolution 2023 R141 authorizes the payment of $5,000 to Father Nature Landscapes of Birmingham, Inc. for landscaping work to be completed within the right-of-way of Carl Daly Road and the roundabout. Before we get into comments, I would ask, in consideration during the deliberation, if we would move this to the consent agenda. Councilwoman Cuellar, this has your name next to it. Is there anything you would like to say?
Yeah, no, this is part of the grant that we received from Commissioner Knight. And then part of it comes from my discretionary funds.
Thank you. Councilman London, any questions?
No question.
Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions, except for the fact that we want to add this to the consent agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And did we look at adding another one already?
We haven't gotten to 17. I was going to make a similar comment there. So, yes, ma'am.
Add 138 and 139 to be read, twice. That would be good.
You would like to go ahead and, okay, to Councilman Sims' point, item number 13 and 14, did you say?
Yes.
Okay. We have hacked this thing up real good. All right, on to item number 17. Resolve the resolution 2023 R142 authorizes the payment of public funds to Shades Valley High School in the amount of $2,500 from the 22-23 fiscal discretionary fund of Mayor James C. Stewart Jr. to be used exclusively for the MCJROTC at Shades Valley High School, with the addition of $1,000 from Councilman Box, $1,000 from Councilwoman Cuellar, $500 from Councilman London, and $2,500 from Councilman Sims. My same question being, would y'all be interested in moving
Yes.
this to consent?
Yes.
Yes.
Were there any questions about this particular item? I know we've kind of talked about it already tonight. We good? Okay. All right. Item number 18, ordain that ordinance 2023-27 amends Appendix A zoning for the Irondale Municipal Code to provide for recreational vehicle park. We've already had a public hearing on this, Same as item number 19, obtain the ordinance 2023-28, amends chapter 14, signs and appendix A, zoning of the Irondale Muni Code as it relates to sign regulations. That was a public hearing, so we've already deliberated that item. Item number 20, ordain that ordinance 2023-29 hereby eliminates its police jurisdiction pursuant to Alabama Code 11-40-10 and the provision of services by the city within the police jurisdiction effective January 1st of 24. Councilman London, any questions on that?
No question.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No questions.
Councilman
No
Box?
questions.
Councilman Sims?
No questions.
And myself, no questions there. All right. I might have to start popping staples on this thing so I can see all 3 pages simultaneously.
Council President, could we move 15 to consent also on regular agenda?
I'm sorry, which item?
Can we move 15 to the consent item? Mayor?
That's a funded item. Can we move that to consent?
Well, it's funded through the general fund. It's not a specific line item that funds it.
Is it legal? Are you cool if we put that on consent? You think that's fine? Okay. Councilman London has made a motion there. Would you all agree on that? I'm fine with it.
I'm good.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad I don't have the job of proposing this form of this agenda. So I would ask for someone to make a motion on the form of the agenda.
Make a motion on the form of the agenda to include consent agenda items 1 through 6, 9 through 12, moving new business agenda items 15, 16, and 70 to consent agenda, and removing items 7 and 8 from consent agenda.
Okay, that checks out on mine.
We have to note the changes or no?
Yeah, well, with the changes as noted to the increase in expenditure or in dollar amounts from the individuals that are contributing additional from their,
And with director sub for trustee.
that's correct.
Okay.
Those changes.
Second.
And if Lee wants to read us back real quick the dollar amount so we can make sure we're all on the same page there, that's good. But if not, I think we all know. what it is.
Okay, go for it. You wanted her to relay those
We
updated
don't have
amounts?
to. I was just going to make sure that we're clear on item 17 was 7,500. I have on item 1 was 3,000, and on item 9 was 3,500. Is that what you got, Joe?
That checks.
What was item 17?
7,500.
So that was 1,000.
1,000 me,
1,000 from council.
Coilar, and then the balance of that from Aaron.
2,500.
500 from
Councilman
Councilman
Sims.
London and 2,500 from Sims.
Yes.
You did 1,000 on 9, did you not?
Okay.
Yes, I did. He did 1,000.
That checks out for me. That checks out with the clerk.
9, yes. And I just told her about that in case she needs to recheck.
We have a motion for the form of the agenda. We have a second from Councilman Sims. All in favor?
Aye.
Outstanding. All right. So now that we have a approved agenda, at this time, we would take any comments to the council on agenda items only. So the items that have been deliberated, we would take questions regarding those items. All right. With no comments on agenda items only, I would ask for an approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we will go ahead and start with what is item number 7 that was on the consent agenda. I would look for a movement of that resolution.
Make a motion 2023 R32 be moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Noted. All right. Item number 8, which was previously on consent agenda, I'd accept a motion.
Motion 2023 R33 be moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Noted. All right. So that's cool there. So 15, 16, and 17 got moved to consent. All right. All right. Item number 13, under new business, it still remains a resolution, but it will be going through the ordinance process. If someone could take us through that.
Make a motion that resolution 2023 R138 be considered read.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of Resolution 2023 R138.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Roll call, Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And finally,
Make a motion that Resolution 2023 R138 be approved and adopted.
motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 4, once again remaining a resolution, but going through the 3-step process.
Make a motion that Resolution 2023 R139 be considered read.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion we suspend all rules that prevent the immediate consideration of Resolution 2023 R139.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
And finally, I'll make a motion that Resolution R 2023 R139 be adopted and approved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. 15, 16, and 17 moved to the consent agenda, so we are good there. Moving on to item number 18 for this ordinance, if someone could go ahead and start us on that process.
Make a motion that ordinance 2023-27 be considered read.
Motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye. Make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2023-27.
We have a motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
I make a motion that ordinance 2023-27 be approved and adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 13, if someone could take us through the process
it
for 23,
19?
28. I'm sorry?
Is it 19?
19.
Yes, ma'am. It's item 19.
Make a motion that ordinance 2023-28 be considered read.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that ordinance 2023-20, that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2023-28.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
I make a motion that ordinance 2023-28 be approved and adopted.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And finally, item number 20.
Make a motion that ordinance 2023-29 be considered read.
Second.
Motion and a dueling second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next.
Make a motion we suspend all rules that prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2023-29.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
And myself, yes.
And finally, I make a motion that ordinance number 2023-29 be approved and adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. That concludes the deliberation and the approval of our items this evening. At this time, we would take any public comments to the council on non-agenda items. Any comments on non-agenda items? All right, with that, I would accept the motion.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming out and joining us this evening. I know some of the process can be a little overbearing at times, so we appreciate you sticking with us. Thank you.